Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Marketer's Blueprint podcast. I'm your host, of course, Nathan Gibson, and I have with me the bald, the beautiful, the wonderful Gabe Arnold, as usual. Gabe, how's this Friday going for you?
It's going good. It's been a busy week, but it's been great. Sometimes I like when challenges or mistakes or accidents come up because it always gives me an opportunity to reevaluate what's going on and choose to face my work and work hard and work through whatever's come up. And there's been some positive challenges this week, I'll call them.
Well, that's super ironic that you say that because today we actually have our episode planned for being about mistakes. Because let's face it, whether it's in business or life or really any aspect, we've all been there, right? We've all made mistakes, we've learned from them, and we've come up stronger from it. So today, I'm really excited to chat with you about this because of your vast entrepreneurial and business owner experience of some of the common mistakes that you've encountered and how to avoid them, particularly when it comes to marketing, right?
Yeah.
By learning from our experiences, you can save, honestly, time, money, frustration, and focus on truly what matters, and that's achieving your goals. So today we'll talk about I have a list here, but we'll play a little game. As always, I can't pass up an opportunity to play a game. Um, we're gonna go through a few things that the team has compiled about mistakes that we've learned and grown from as a company, and then you can touch on some personal ones as well. But I want you to just start off by what comes to your mind when it comes to mistakes in marketing. What are some of the things that you see a lot, and what are some quick ways to avoid them?
The number one mistake that every entrepreneur I've met makes in marketing, myself included many times, and every small business owner, is that they allow distractions to keep them from following a long-term course. And so they're constantly changing direction and they never get traction because the new software somebody's selling or the new way to do some fancy funnel or the new thing becomes a constant distraction. And those distractions and that effort to try to continually work on new ideas is the number one cause of entrepreneurial poverty.
Wow, that's so powerful. And it's why one of the things that we offer at BME is accountability calls, right? And I've had the pleasure of hosting some of those. It's because entrepreneurs are some of the greatest people in the world. They're ambitious, they have huge ideas, they want to make a difference in the world, they want to build something successful. But all of those things can cloud out where they should focus, what they should spend their time on. Too many ideas can be a bad thing, right? You've taught me
Yeah.
that. You have an excellent way of leadership that I really respect. You're the visionary at this point in running the company, and you have a lot of big, awesome ideas for where the company goes. And to be honest with you, our team kind of keeps you in check a little bit of like, all right, that's a great idea. Let's do this. And then you're like, that's a fantastic idea. I taught you well, right?
Yeah, it's because a visionary entrepreneur's brain, as small business owners, like when we're getting into business, we, like you said, we truly want to change the world. And so that part of us should never be shut off, is my
True.
opinion and experience. However, I've finally learned, and it only took me like 15 years.
Only.
So don't feel bad for anybody listening. Like if you're stuck in this loop, it's very normal. It's okay. But it only took me 15 years, maybe more, to learn that I should always stoke and fuel my creativity, my visionary part of who I am, because that is what drives the business. But I need to create a healthy space for that where it doesn't disrupt the operations of the company, where it doesn't disrupt our ability to be consistent and have processes and set annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly goals and just keep consistently plodding along at a slower pace, what feels slower to an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I have time every week to dream and ideate and dream up business ideas and new things I want to do and new products. And then I save them so that if they come up again in the future for me and they're valid and I can move them into our operational and our marketing processes here at BME, that I can do that. But it's taken me years, and it's really taken me even like 3 or 4 years to refine the level of focus and discipline that it takes for us as a company to choose a small set of goals for the next 90 days and work just on those.
Yeah, and I love that process of planning things out and not getting too distracted, like you said, because it's always great to give yourself space to be creative and dream up new things because that's how your business grows and how you can keep it fun and engaging. It's the fun part about being an entrepreneur. but also you have to be realistic and you have to make sure that these things are achievable. That's why we have quarterly targets. We do a waterfall process. We do all kinds of things as a company that allow those great ideas to come to fruition in a ideal setting. So I love that. And it's part of why we have some of the best leadership in the world. So let's dive into a few specific ones though, because we want to show people that we've been through these things and we've come out on the other side and learned from them so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. So we're going to go into some things that the team has put together for us and things that you have a lot of experience with, talking about mistakes or missed opportunities when it comes to marketing. The first one, and this one was a huge one for me that I learned from our expert marketing strategist, Kayla. We have an episode with her that just came out, so definitely check that out, is not having a clear CTA or call to action above the fold in your landing page. Is that not so important, Gabe?
Yeah, it's really key to make sure you pay attention to whether you're doing something as simple as making a Google Doc as your first landing page, which maybe we'll talk about that on an episode sometime, or your website landing page or anything you're putting out there, is that it needs to first on mobile, because that's going to be, for most business owners these days, 80% of all traffic to your website is going to be from a smartphone. You need to be able to pull up your website. It needs to load very quickly. And the next step they should take, like, try the demo, download the PDF, opt in for this, book the demo call, free product, whatever it needs to be, right there, so that they clearly know the next action to take. Because if you bury the next step that you want a prospective new partner, customer, client of yours to take, they're not going to know what to do. We have to take our prospects by the hand and lead them step by step through the process that allows us to serve them well.
Absolutely. You want to make your products or services as easy as possible to access and have as much information condensed down into as short form as possible so that they can get clear, concise information and lead them down the path that you want them to take. And having a clear CTA above the fold, which is above where you scroll in the landing page, will help you get people who are at the top of the funnel who don't know anything about you down to the bottom where they're more likely to be ready to buy. So that's huge. And it leads me into another point of, this is something we've educated our clients on a lot, is underpricing or giving away too much for free. A lot of business owners and entrepreneurs are afraid of premium pricing because they think that it'll lower sales. But that's just not true in the right setting, right?
Yeah, I was talking to a new friend here at BME that we're exploring our client partnership with last week, and they were talking about their challenges of scaling their CPG product. They have a direct-to-consumer brand, and the challenge they're facing was that their product's amazing, it's well formulated, like their brand, is stable, they're doing a brand update and a few things, but when they went out and looked at their competitors, they're about half the price of their competitors. And so we had the conversation that you can actually deter people by not pricing your product or service high enough, because if something is too low, then it damages the brand, because intuitively, whether the prospective customer realizes this or not, intuitively, if the price is too low, they're, consciously or unconsciously, they're going to go, I wonder what's wrong with it, because everybody else is selling this at this price, or I expected it to be X. It'd be like if I told you, Nathan, hey, I just saw this Porsche 911, it's $3,000. Do you want to buy it? The
I would
first
be
thing
like,
you,
oh my
you'd be
God.
like, there's got to be something wrong with it, or is it 50 years old, or what? I can forget when those came out. But
Even is it stolen at that point, at that price? You know what I mean? Like, that is insane.
Yeah, and so pricing is a huge part of positioning properly in the marketplace, and there's market research that goes into that. There's a lot behind understanding what your ideal customer can afford and what they value, and those are two different things that play together.
Absolutely, and we'll have to do a whole episode on pricing psychology, because it's something you've helped me learn over the years, and then also something that we implement into our daily services with our clients, because it's such a big part of business, and I love really how much you know about it. So
one more thing on that.
Absolutely.
Before we go ahead, I've gone through this exercise in reality with customers, and I theoretically walk this through as a thought exercise. But if you have 20 customers today that are paying you $500 a month for something, and you do a price analysis and do your market research, and you get good strategic advice, and you realize that it's time to double prices to $1,000 a month, and you lose half your customers, Are you better off or worse off? What do you think, Nathan?
Oh,
Now I'm flipping the game on you.
mm, that's interesting. With what I've learned from you, I would say you're better off because you're finding more people who are the right target. I could be wrong. You put me on the
Yeah.
spot.
No, you're good. It is the right target because those people are going to value your service more, and you just doubled your profitability. You're working for
Right.
half the people for the same amount of money.
Yeah.
And I have walked clients through doubling prices and doing like 40, 50, 60, 70% price increases. And I'm not saying that's,
Wow.
to be very clear, that's not the default thing we should do.
For
That's done
sure.
with
That's
intention
certain
and strategy.
situations.
But the thought exercise is worth it because people think, oh, I need more customers, so I'm going to drop my price. And then what you do is you just work yourself to death and you can't deliver quality results to all those customers. And you are putting them and you as a business owner and the business behind. Like, and there's damage and loss.
That's
So
so
that's
true.
why, from a pricing perspective, we will have to do an episode about that. That's always the thought
Yeah.
exercise for my people is if you doubled your prices and lost half your customers, you will be better off. Again, it's not a flippant decision, but it's a thought exercise that's always worth going through.
Yeah, and something I've helped coach clients through is like, don't be afraid of if you sell a premium product. That could be a really big angle for people. Like, if your product is leagues above other people in the same space, premium price it. A lot of people will pay for premium products. I myself am a
Absolutely.
big tech nerd and computer buff and things like that, and I just recently bought a new computer, and I bought one that was a higher end, and I did tons of research on it, and it promoted itself. It was a pre-built gaming company, but they promoted it as a premium product. It has this, and this is what we have compared to the competitors, and it sold me. And so don't
But
be afraid to premium price your products, especially if you believe in it, right? You have to believe in what you do. So I think that that's
absolutely.
absolutely huge.
Yeah.
But another one that's really great that I wanted to touch on too is inconsistent organic traffic. This is one you'll probably have a lot to say on because organic traffic can be absolutely huge for businesses, just like paid advertisement can be. But if you're inconsistent, I would say almost for certain your organic traffic won't pan out, right?
Yeah. And organic traffic these days comes primarily from two sources, from what you do on social media, which is a factor but not always the biggest one, and then what you post on your website and how you promote your website. When people come to me and say, I used to be getting leads off social media for organic posting, or I used to get leads from my website, or my traffic's dropping, the first thing we analyze with our clients is say, well, when did the consistency stop? Because that's always the case. And
Right.
consistency over time, meaning 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, that's what drives results. And it's the day to day stuff that may feel boring or may feel like there's other things that are higher priority. And as a business owner, we have a lot of high priority things for sure. When people post sporadically, they can never get the consistency, momentum that comes from being consistent and get the
Yeah.
results. Whereas our clients that we post consistently on their blogs of things that speak directly to their ideal customers, and our customers our clients who we help with putting consistent social media out, and they keep doing that, they all reach that momentum and that traction point. People start just reaching out to them off of social media. People start
Exactly.
reading their content and contacting them off their website. But it's a long game that is the highest ROI investment you can make, because driving organic traffic is cheaper than paid traffic, but it takes a lot longer, and it does take a big upfront investment, like for SEO and for blog articles and all that. But on the social side, it doesn't have to take a huge investment. It takes the commitment and the discipline to post consistently, at least a few times a week, and
Yeah.
eventually getting to daily. And your email content, is also a part of driving organic traffic. So I just remind people, do it, make it simple and boring for you, in the sense like operationally boring. And then, of course, make the content land and serve the people that you want to help. But the longer you do that, the more opportunities will open up for you, because half of business success is just outlasting all your competitors. It's just being more consistent for longer than everybody else.
Absolutely, and that's so huge. We talk a lot about brand awareness on this podcast and then the day to day too. And being consistent with your organic posting or content is just a absolutely crucial way to make people more aware of your brand. We talk about funnels a lot too, and the people who are at the top don't really know who you are. And so the more that they see your content consistently, the more information they get, the more they're consuming the content, the more likely they are to invest in your products or services.
Yeah.
That's why being consistent can, like you said, be huge for ROI and really just be in it for the long game. A lot of the clients that we work with have long-term successes because they put the time and the work into it. Overnight successes can happen, but they're not something you can just put all your cards in one basket and expect to work. Consistency over time and outlasting is how businesses are successful, so I love that. So another one I wanted to talk about is it kind of ties into that too, and that's neglecting customer retention. It's so crazy to me that you see that so often, that so many people, it's like what we talked about with premium pricing. So many people are worried about getting new customers rather than taking care of the ones that have already bought from them, especially when you have a product that can be bought multiple times, right? So what are your thoughts on why you shouldn't neglect customer retention, and if you put a lot of stock into it, what it can do for your business?
Yeah, so there's an old saying, like, no amount of water pulled into a leaky bucket will ever solve the leaky bucket problem.
There you go.
There's always going to leak, and so I always think about that. And I also always tell people that marketing 101 is having an amazing product or service that the people that buy love, and you cannot grow a business if you don't have retention. The back end of your business is really where things scale, because if you are acquiring 10 new customers a quarter, whatever your pace is, or 10 new customers a week, whatever the pace is, and you're losing, 10 in another 36 days, you're just on a revolving, you're in a revolving door of no
Right.
progress. Whereas if you realize that a key aspect of your marketing is first delivering exactly what you promised really well with excellence and investing that relationship there. And then also reminding people, like, here's what you bought. Make sure you get full usage out of it. Fully use our product, or you had this service. We want to help you get the max value out of it. Encouraging high consumption of the product or service that you have, and supporting that, and making sure you customize the service, you adjust your products, you are really listening to your customer base as your first market that you need to pay attention to. By doing that, you retain people, and that takes the burden off of always having to bring in new customers all the time. And it's so excellent, timely, effective delivery of what you promised to deliver is marketing 101. And then once you do that, it's continuing to, have those conversations, deepen that relationship, and figure out how else can you serve them? What's the next thing that you can help them do to change their life, improve their business, whatever you're selling to them. Retention is absolutely crucial, and it's always a part of, the strategies that we help our clients implement.
Yeah, because it's like we said earlier, people who fall in love with your service or product you can create lifetime customers or clients.
Yeah.
It's why here at BME our first guiding principle is relationships first. It ties into everything that we do, this included. When you invest in the relationships that you build and truly care as a human being, people will not only want to buy from you more often, but they'll trust you. And that's so important when you're product-based businesses, and especially client-focused businesses. Building a solid network of clientele or customers that trust you is infinitely valuable. So that's why investing in relationships is so important, and it ties into everything that you can do. So I love that. Another thing I wanted to kind of mention that ties into the customer journey, as we've spoken about, is something you want to avoid is asking your audience to take overly complex or demanding actions. We talked about it briefly, but I want to get some more thoughts from you on it, of making your content as easy to consume as possible and making buying your product as easy as possible, right? That's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at an event quite a few years ago, and there was probably 40 people in the room, and the MC of the event took one volunteer and blindfolded them, and then told like 3 or 4 of the people, or maybe even all of us, help this person get all the way over to the other side of the room and drink this bottle of water. And so everybody started out like saying, go straight 4 steps, turn left, dude, whatever. And then finally somebody got it, and they walked up and they took the person's hand who was blindfolded. They guided them over to the table that had the bottle of water. They unscrewed the cap, they put it in the person's hand, and they drank the water. And that is the principle behind making the customer journey easy and guided, because nobody's buying your product because they could create it on their own. Nobody's paying for your service because they're an expert in it. They actually need you to be the expert and the servant leader that guides them along the path and says, here's what's next. So whether it's you sell a product and then you have, after the product is shipped to them, you send them an email series of here's the best way to use it. Here's how you can get the most value out of it. Here's some reminders. Oh, and if you need help, here's customer service information. That's kind of a very top line view of helping people really take step-by-step, action without being complex. And on the service side, whether you're doing something very complex or challenging, just break it into small pieces and guide them all the way. Because if you like you said, if you send them too many steps, or you send them, a 14-page questionnaire they have to do before something or anything like that,
right,
then they're going to be frustrated and they're going to question, why did I invest in this? They'll probably be hard on themselves. They
think that they're doing something wrong,
which doesn't help. They're definitely, but depending on what they're aware of, they could be frustrated with you and the company. So it's our job to simplify and guide people really by I always ask myself, how do we take them by the hand to help them be successful?
Yeah, and I love that analogy. It shows a personal touch too. And we've talked about how that's so important to just be a human being in the sales environment. And if you actually genuinely care and you want to serve somebody well, guiding them through literally by as virtually, as best we can, guiding them through the steps that a typical customer would take is the best way that you can lead somebody to something that they need and they feel like wow, I really should get this. But it also helps people understand more about your product too, right? Because you wouldn't start by the bottom of the funnel, like top of the line product on your homepage, right? Yeah. You want to have information about the product, guide them to this, and maybe have a quiz funnel and things like that. So guiding them on proper steps down the funnel is super important, but always making sure you're doing so in a way that's meaningful. So I love your points on that. And that actually leads me to one of our last points here. We've got two more, and then we'll talk about a couple other things, is creating content with a purpose. This is absolutely huge. A lot of people create content just for the purpose of creating content when it's so much deeper than that. You've taught me that, and Kayla has taught me that, of creating content with a purpose. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that's such a key point because, there's this myth that, if I just put something out or if I just plug in prompts to AI and I just post all this stuff, then that'll work. And that's the worst thing you could do for your marketing or your brand. Every piece of content you put out should serve a specific result and purpose. It should show your prospective customers, your clients, how to solve a problem on their own so they consider you valuable and trustworthy. It should, give a specific, result of helping them be encouraged or feel better. Having a targeted intention of the result that you want to serve your audience with every piece of content is absolutely key.
Yeah, it's absolutely crucial. Your content can be so multifaceted in this day and age. So don't just create content to create content. Create it with a purpose. So guys, if you have ever made any of these mistakes, we can help turn a bunch of these marketing failures into unbelievable successes. We have done it time and time again, and we want to be here for you. You can check us out, as always, at businessmarketingengine.com. You can book a call with me there, and I'd love to chat to you about it. And guys, drop a comment below if you're watching on YouTube on some marketing mistakes or any kind of business mistakes you've made and what you've learned from it. We love to hear stories from you guys. We want to connect with you and learn more about what you guys have going on, so please do engage there. But I think that will wrap it up for this week. Gabe, thank you so much for being here with me as always, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks, everyone.